Right, Shalom. This is your brother Shawab. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God Yahweh, Ba'ashem HaMashiach Malak Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachach Wadash. This lesson, I'm going to keep it brief. Basically, going into you are who your father is, right? So the first scripture I want to bring out is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21, which says, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Okay, so I want to prove all things. Hold fast that which is good. So when it comes to the father-son situation, so-called Jewish men will tell you that you are who you're a Jew if your mum is a Jew, your mother is a Jew. The reason why so-called Jewish people say this is because there is no mistaking who your mother is. You were born from her after all, so you can't mistake who she is. Your mother is the person that you came from. You came out of her. She's definitely your mum, but there's a bit of questioning. Who is your father? He might have been this man or that man. But if your father and your mother are just and righteous, then there's no question who your father is, right? So that's just basically explaining why Jewish people say you are who your mother is. But that's not biblical, right? Numbers chapter 1 verse 18, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, by their polls. 1 sec, I'm just going to get that word pedigrees. I'll just get the blue letter. Numbers 1:18 blue letter Bible. Just gonna get that word pedigrees. Okay, so it comes from Yalad, which means to bear, bring forth, of childbirth. Okay, to beget, to bear, bring forth, beget, gender, travail. So basically, they declared their sons after their families by the house of their fathers, or their children. They declared their children after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, by their polls. And their polls means the heads. So each person that you count is according to their father, right? So in reality, when it comes to things like seed-wise, your father is who you are. Okay? Your father is who you are. The same way, as far as seed goes, for an apple, a lot of brothers make this analogy where if I take an apple seed, okay, the seed of the apple, and plant it in a field full of orange trees, what's going to grow? An orange tree or an apple tree? Wisdom will tell you it's going to be an apple tree because it's an apple seed. It doesn't matter that it was planted in a field full of oranges. It's an apple seed, so it's going to be an apple tree. It doesn't matter what the field is full of. The field might be full of pear trees, orange trees, but the seed that I planted was an apple, so the tree is going to be an apple tree. Okay, and just through the spirit, let me see if I can get this. Probably not. Let's see. Nah. Salakia, 1 second. No. I can't find what I'm looking for. Salakia. So, basically though, a lot of brothers make this analogy where it doesn't matter what the field is full of. It could be orange trees, pear trees. If I plant an apple seed, the seed is of the apple. The seed came from an apple tree, so therefore an apple tree is going to grow. Okay? Which leads me to my next point. This brother, Ross Barkley, you might have heard of him, as a footballer. He looks like an Edomite, right? You look at him, you say, that's Esau right there. That's the Edomite. Look at him. True say that's an Edomite, yeah? But his father is an Israelite. That's his father. That is that man's father. His father is an Israelite. You wouldn't think so, no? He looks like an Edomite. But that's his father, right? So he is the seed of his father. It doesn't matter who his mother is. His mother is the reason why he looks like he looks like. It doesn't matter who his mother is. His father is who he is. Okay? Which leads me to this analogy. The chicken and the egg. Out of the two, which becomes the chicken? The chick or the egg? Because the chick is hatched out of the egg. Spoiler alert right there. It's the same principle thing, right? The sperm of the chicken goes into... The sperm of the male chicken goes into the female chicken. She then cultivates the egg within herself and hatches it. Pushes it out of herself and lays the egg. She lays the egg, and then it continues to cultivate within itself because there's water inside for it to cultivate within. So that female chicken, that female chicken lays the egg, and the egg continues to cultivate exterior to its mother's body. Okay? Before it hatches and is born. That is the principle of life. Okay, the sperm meets the egg cultivates the child, and the child hatches from the egg and becomes independent from the egg. That is a principal thing in life. The method, however, is the difference. Okay, so with chickens, the egg is cultivated and grows the child externally from the body, but with humans, all this process happens within the body. It's the same process. The sperm meets the egg, the sperm is hosted within the egg, the sperm develops as a child within the egg, and the egg is its place of habitation while it cultivates, and then it is born from the egg, and then pushed out of the female. The difference here is chickens lay their eggs, and humans keep the egg within. But the same principality is that the egg is the host, the sperm is the being, the living being. The sperm lives. The egg just hosts the sperm while it cultivates. Okay? The only difference here is that the chicken lays the egg and the human keeps the egg within. Okay? So that leads to the question. What hatches out of the egg? What becomes the chick? What becomes the chicken? The chick or the egg? It's the chick. The egg is discarded and is therefore done with. It's finished. That's the end of the egg. It served its purpose. Now it naturally degrades. The chick becomes the full-grown chicken. What does the chick go back to? It goes back to the sperm, which was cultivated by the egg. So that's the principality, but the method is different. But if you think about humans, the egg becomes the what's it called? The sac that the embryo is kept in. Salakia, one sec. Embryo sac. Embryonic sac. That's what the egg becomes before it's burst. That's your so-called water bursting. The thing that became the child, that became the baby, the infant, the embryo, is the sperm. That's what became the embryo, not the egg. The egg, Esau will teach you that, the egg and the sperm come together and become one being. Nah, you can't become one from two different beings. They're simply one. You can't become a sperm and an egg come together and they're both two different sentient beings and then... Nah, Esau, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Right? The seed, the sperm becomes the child The egg hosts the child, right? But where does the sperm come from? It comes from the man, right? So where did you come from? Before you were a man, before you were a child, you were a sperm. When you were a sperm, where did you grow? You grew within the egg. But before you were inside of the egg, where were you? You were inside your father. Your father produced you in his testicles. So you come from your father. So you are who your father is. The word sperm comes from the Greek word sperma, which means seed. So you are the seed of your father. You are the seed of your father. You come from your father, right? So that's the scientific explanation for Numbers chapter 1 verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, by their polls. So you simply are who your father is. You are who your father is. It doesn't matter what you look like. You could look like a Moabite. You could look like an Ishmaelite. You could look like an Edomite. If your father is an Israelite, so are you. If your father is an Edomite, so are you. If your father is an Ishmaelite, so are you. If your father is an Ammonite, so are you. If your father is a Hamite, so are you, and so on and so forth. It doesn't matter what you look like. I bring you back to Ross Barkley, the footballer. He looks like an Edomite. You see him, and if you weren't checking it out, if you weren't looking into the backstory, you'd look at him and you'd just draw the conclusion, that's an Edomite. That's an Edomite, look at him. That's an Edomite. But if you look at his father, this is literally his biological father, an Israelite. Okay? So that's the breakdown. You are who your father is. It doesn't matter what you look like. Because I had one recently, one demon talking about flesh. He doesn't even understand what flesh pertains to, because he was talking about skin color. Bro, it doesn't matter what skin color you got. If you descend from Jacob, you're good. If you descend from Esau, you're doomed. If you're one of the other nations, you're also doomed, just not as badly as Esau is. But the bottom line is, if you want to inherit the kingdom of heaven, your only chance, your only hope in life is that you descend from Jacob. Doesn't matter what you look like. You could look like anybody in the world. You could look like a Chinese man. You could look like an Arab. You could look like an African. You can look like a white man. You can look like anybody in the world. As long as your dad and his 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 dad go back to Jacob, that's when you're good. It doesn't matter what you look like. So he was talking about flesh doesn't matter. Nah, flesh doesn't matter. But he thinks it's to do with the immediate appearance. But that's not the reason for this lesson. This just covers the topic, you know what I'm saying? That just covers the topic. At the end of the day, the bottom line is you are who your father is. So some of you Israelites out there, well, Israelite looking people might not even be Israelites. You just look like one. More time, what you see is what you get. I don't want people getting confused. More time, what you see is what you get. But at the end of the day, it's not about skin color. Okay? It's about who you descend from. If you descend from Jacob by your fathers, you're good. If you don't, get ready for slavery, boy. And with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God Yahweh, Bahasham HaMashiach Malaki Hawashai, Bahasham Achak Wadash, Amen.